My name is Emily Carter, and I had always believed in honesty, friendship, and hard work. Growing up in a quiet suburban town in the U.S., my parents instilled in me the idea that success comes from persistence, not shortcuts. I took that advice seriously, dedicating myself to my studies and ambitions, always dreaming of making a name for myself in the world of journalism. Then came Jessica Miller. She was everything I wasn't: effortlessly charming, daring, and fearless. People were drawn to her magnetic personality, and soon enough, I found myself trusting her completely. We met in college, both enrolled in the journalism program, and quickly bonded over late-night research sessions and shared ambitions. We became inseparable, or so I thought. It started small. Jessica would borrow my research notes or pitch my ideas during group projects. I brushed it off, thinking it was just the way she worked, that maybe she didn't know better. But the cracks in our friendship widened as time went on. The real betrayal hit in our senior year. We had been working together on a competitive internship at one of the most prestigious media agencies in New York City. This internship could define our careers. I spent countless nights preparing the proposal, contacting sources, and organizing interviews. Jessica, knowing I trusted her, quietly submitted the project under her name and presented it as her own. When the agency called her in for an interview, I felt my chest tighten with disbelief and rage. I confronted her privately. Her smile was unnerving, almost predatory. "Emily, you worry too much," she said, tilting her head. "Life doesn't reward people for being nice. You should learn that sooner rather than later." Her words cut deeper than her actions. That day, I realized Jessica wasn't just ambitious, she was ruthless. And I had been a fool to let her in so completely. For weeks, I felt lost, humiliated, and powerless. But anger, as I learned, can be a powerful teacher. I knew I couldn't undo what she had done, but I could ensure that she wouldn't get away with it. And so, I began my plan. I started quietly, observing her daily. Jessica was careless in her overconfidence. She often bragged about her connections, and underestimated people she thought were weak. I paid attention to her social media posts, her interviews, and her networking events. Every detail she left exposed was a weapon I could use. Meanwhile, I focused on building my own reputation quietly. I took small freelance jobs, wrote insightful articles under a pen name, and connected with industry professionals without drawing attention. I learned to play the long game. Revenge, I realized, was never about immediate gratification, it was about precision, patience, and timing. I knew I couldn't confront Jessica directly, not yet. Her social charm and connections made her untouchable in the eyes of most people. Any rash move would only make me look bitter or petty. Revenge required patience, and patience was a weapon I intended to master. The first step was to build credibility quietly. I started freelancing for small publications, pitching unique stories no one else noticed. I wrote under my own name occasionally, but mostly under pseudonyms that allowed me to create a portfolio without Jessica knowing. I dug deep into investigative journalism, exposing small corruption cases and business scams. Slowly, my work started getting noticed, not by her, but by the people who mattered. Editors, journalists, and even some of the agencies we had dreamed about in college started reaching out to me. Meanwhile, I began collecting evidence of Jessica's misconduct. It wasn't easy. She was careful, always covering her tracks, always charming her way out of any suspicion. But even the most careful person leaves traces. Old emails, plagiarized reports, and misrepresented client interactions were all hidden in plain sight if you knew where to look. I spent nights sifting through everything, compiling a dossier that could ruin her if presented correctly. I didn't want to destroy her recklessly. That wasn't the point. I wanted her to face the consequences of her actions while I rose above her, not just to satisfy my anger, but to prove to myself that I was stronger than betrayal. My first move was subtle. Jessica had recently started working with a local news agency, flaunting her internship as proof of her talent. I reached out to the editor under a professional guise, suggesting stories that were better aligned with their audience. They didn't know it yet, but my research was impeccable. My story proposals were accepted faster than hers, and soon I was assigned major projects she had been hoping to claim for herself. It was the first taste of satisfaction, watching her struggle silently as opportunities she expected were handed to me. She started noticing, of course. At first, she laughed it off, confident that her charm and connections would protect her. But her smile began to falter when I won an award for investigative reporting, a story exposing corruption in a local real estate project that she had tried to cover with false credit. Jessica confronted me in the agency cafeteria one afternoon. The glare in her eyes told me she suspected something. "Emily, how are you always one step ahead?" she asked, voice tight, masking anger with forced curiosity. "Hard work, Jessica," I replied calmly, letting the words sink in. "Consistency beats shortcuts every time." She didn't know I had more in store. I began leaking small pieces of evidence about her plagiarism to trusted journalists anonymously. Nothing that could be traced back to me, but enough to make her look careless and unprofessional. A couple of her editors began questioning her work, and clients started noticing discrepancies. At the same time, I continued building my portfolio, attending networking events, and making genuine connections. I kept my public demeanor polite, friendly, and professional, everything Jessica pretended to be but never truly mastered. Slowly, people started trusting me more than her. The final phase of my plan involved exposing the biggest betrayal of all, her attempt to steal my internship project. I had meticulously documented emails, drafts, and timestamps proving that the ideas she claimed as her own were mine. I reached out to the media agency where she had landed the internship, presenting the evidence professionally. The agency launched a formal investigation, and for the first time, Jessica realized that charm and manipulation were not enough. She called me that night, voice trembling. "Emily, what are you doing? This isn't fair." "Fair isn't the point, Jessica," I said softly, letting the weight of my words hang in the silence. "Integrity is." I watched as her career faltered. Editors and clients lost trust, and she was quietly asked to resign. Meanwhile, I received offers from agencies I had only dreamed of, my name recognized for honesty, skill, and dedication. By the time Jessica realized how far I had planned my moves, it was already too late. The humiliation she had inflicted on me years ago, the betrayal of my trust, my ideas, my hard work, was finally coming full circle. But I didn't celebrate in the way movies often show revenge. I didn't gloat or yell at her. Revenge, I learned, was far more powerful when executed with calm precision. The media agency investigation confirmed everything. Jessica's internship project, which she had presented as her own, was clearly derived from my work. Emails, drafts, and time-stamped documents left no room for dispute. She tried to spin stories, claim credit, even charm her way out one last time, but credibility isn't built overnight. Integrity matters. And hers had long since disappeared. Word spread quietly in the journalism community. Editors, clients, and even college professors who had once praised her began distancing themselves. Her opportunities dried up. She tried reaching out to me, desperately seeking a personal reconciliation, but I refused. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because some betrayals are too deep to forgive. Not yet, anyway. Meanwhile, my career began to flourish. The agency that had doubted me before now offered me a full-time position, recognizing my investigative skills and professionalism. I received invitations to speak at conferences, contribute to respected publications, and mentor young journalists. Every opportunity Jessica had tried to steal was now in my hands, earned honestly, skillfully, and with patience. But revenge, as I discovered, isn't just about reclaiming what was stolen, it's about reclaiming yourself. For months after her betrayal, I had doubted my own instincts, my judgment, even my abilities. Through planning and executing this carefully measured revenge, I regained not just my professional standing but also my self-respect. I learned that no one can take what you build from your own integrity if you are willing to fight smart and wait for the right moment. One afternoon, I ran into Jessica in a cafe downtown. She looked older, more anxious than the confident, smiling girl I had once trusted. She hesitated when she saw me, as if expecting some confrontation. I offered a polite nod and walked past her without a word. She didn't follow. She didn't speak. And in that silence, I realized something important: the best revenge doesn't always need drama. It's the quiet knowledge that you rose above, while they are left behind. Life, I had learned, is not always fair. Some people cheat, lie, and manipulate to get ahead. But fairness is temporary, and justice, though delayed, often finds its way. Jessica's downfall was not about punishment, it was about consequences. Every choice she made to betray, to manipulate, to take shortcuts, had a price. I had merely ensured that price was paid. From that point onward, I focused on building my future rather than looking back. I launched my own investigative journalism column, exposing corporate corruption, unethical business practices, and social injustice. I mentored young journalists, emphasizing integrity and diligence over shortcuts. Every article one wrote, every story I published, was a testament to the values I had once thought lost in betrayal. Sometimes, I still think about Jessica. I wonder if she regrets what she did, if she ever reflects on the bridges she burned. But those thoughts are fleeting. They don't matter anymore. I learned that revenge is not about hatred, it's about reclaiming your power and your dignity. And with that, I finally found peace. By the end, I had more than just professional success. I had resilience, wisdom, and the unshakable knowledge that I could face betrayal and come out stronger. The world is full of people like Jessica, selfish, cunning, and impatient. But it's also full of opportunities for those willing to play the long game, stay patient, and act strategically. In the end, I didn't just take back what was mine, I became someone stronger than the person I had been before the betrayal. And that, more than anything, was the sweetest revenge of all.